No, I think that the trajectory of queer people in society and in law enforcement of the criminal justice system is kind of the same. I don't think that at all, under any circumstances, I would ever say that LGBTQ people are at home yet in this nation. And because we have shows on TV with gay characters and things like that, that's not the measure of at home for me. I say that, first of all, let's look at goal. I mean, if we have time. So the organization stemmed from Charlie Cochran outed himself in front of the New York City Council in November of 1981. So you had a gay rights bill that was before the City Council. Now your ordinance or your law here in 77,
1977.
that included gay people,
Sexual orientation, yes.
and gender identity and gender expression in 70, or that was amended later.
Gender identity, gender expression was added later. Sexual
Okay.
orientation initially. I got my experts right here, making sure I'm giving it the right information.
So
How
you're
am I doing, Craig?
So you're ahead of us.
Yeah.
So in 81, there's this contentious hearing in the City Council chamber, and I think it was the vice president or the president of the PBA that issued this strong-worded editorial in the newspaper that this law could never pass. We would need a carve-out like they have in other institutions. We can't have queer cops. There are no such thing as gay cops, XYZ. So now you have this viral testimony, and so now who's going to testify next but a New York City police sergeant? So the activists and everybody in this council chamber are like irate now. They're booing when he's introduced, and he steps in front of this microphone and he says, not only am I proud to be a New York City police officer, but I'm proud to be a gay man. And from people that I know that were in the council chamber that day, it has never been louder than it was at that moment in 1981. So we fast forward a few months, and the organization was founded. The first meeting took place in the basement of St. Joseph's Church in Greenwich Village. It was a Catholic church that was very friendly to the community. And they met in the basement, and they met under protection of other cops because nobody wanted this meeting to happen. There were a bomb threat, I think, was called into Charlie's home, his answering machine. And even going further than that first meeting, there was always a threat to the meetings of goal. These guys met in secrecy very often. So we go now for almost 15 years, I think, or 14 years. The lawsuit was filed by Tommy Jeans, Edgar Rodriguez, and Fran de Benedictis. They were the plaintiffs, and they were represented by two attorneys, one of which was Colleen Meenan, who would be the executive director of Goal. This is 96, and it was settled in 97. So for 15 years, they wanted absolutely nothing to do with us. And since then, every single initiative the New York City Police Department has had for LGBTQ people was either geared by Goal individually or geared by Goal as members of the police department, kind of jointly. So we marched for the first time in uniform in 1997. It took until 2002 for the Gay Officers Action League to be fully accepted into what they refer to, at least in the NYPD. Now, we're a little bit more than an NYPD organization. We represent all full-time criminal justice employees and the interest of the community from inside those institutions. So we're talking about state police agencies, federal, local. But it took the NYPD's Committee of Police Societies until 2002 before the president of Goal was able to sit in on meetings with other presidents of their recognized fraternal, religious, or line organizations. So we're not really talking about ancient history here. the discrimination that we used to see and used to get reported to goal would be things like your locker would be turned upside down, personal property was destroyed, hate speech was used. Now I see a little bit different discrimination incidents or what gets reported to me. I find that oftentimes our members have less desirable assignments inside of commands, whether it be at the precinct level, the transit level. If you work at a steady sector, a lot of times, if you work a steady sector, you have a partner. So let's say Brett was my partner. I work with Brett every day. I find that a lot of times our people, especially male officers, and we can have a conversation about the difference between being a lesbian police officer and being a gay police officer, a gay man. We could talk about that later if you want, but we see that that these guys, they don't have steady partners. They're in what we call response autos, or they're assigned to sit on prisoners or go to the hospital and sit on a prisoner in the hospital as opposed to having a traditional patrol assignment. When there's a detail opened up in the precinct, let's say you're a good cop, you're a hard worker, you come in, you do your job, you have good evaluations, and so if there's a temporary opening that because somebody's out long-term sick, or that somebody can't come to work because they're on some other kind of leave or a vacation or whatever the case may be, and there's something going on that they need somebody for, they'll pull the good queer cop. He's good enough then. But when the position is open in that detail full-time, is that the guy that gets the spot? No.